Hello, I'm Kurt Lidke, Executive Director of Klamath Film, and you just watched Sanctuary, a visually captivating documentary looking at an important public program in the Umpqua National Forest, tying veterans and youth together in the outdoors in our Southern Shorts category to the Klamath Independent Film Festival. Joining us now is the director of this film, Shane Anderson. Shane, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Kurt. Pleasure to be here.
Well, first of all, welcome back to the continental U.S. It's my understanding you've been off filming stuff lately. What was it that you were doing, and when can we look forward to seeing that?
I've been up in the Bristol Bay region of Alaska. As you've probably heard in the national news, there's a lot going on with the Pebble Mine, and I was up documenting one of the largest salmon runs recorded on history of sockeye salmon and the grizzly bear migration. It was the most incredible stuff I've ever shot. I was 15 feet away from feeding grizzly bears for several days, and happy to be make it back home safe.
Well, as long as you weren't being fed to the grizzly bears, I guess it's I guess it's okay. So, Sanctuary, how did you get connected to this program, and what attracted you to this film project that highlights conservation efforts and between veterans and youth?
So I work for a conservation organization called Pacific Rivers, and the North Umpqua is our flagship river. We've been doing snorkel surveys up in the area for the last 10 years, documenting wild steelhead and spring chinook. And just this past year, we finally had closure and were able to permanently protect Steamboat Creek as the Frank and Jeannie Moore Wild Steelhead Sanctuary, 110,000 acres protected of cold water refugia, named after World War II veteran and Umpqua legend and hero Frank Moore. Went all the way to the president's desk last March, and he signed off on it. And we brought in a group last year called Soul River that was veterans teaching urban youth in the outdoors. So we merged our program that we've been doing for 10 years with their program, and it was just an amazing success getting the kids out into the wild and the veterans. In fact, this past year we weren't able to get together due to the COVID as a group, but we continued our snorkel program. And one of the youth that participated last year, we actually hired on. So it's cool to see some of these kids continue to be inspired through the program and through the sanctuary concept. And we hope that we can take the model of a sanctuary and expand it throughout the Pacific Northwest, because there are these really important eco regions like Steamboat Creek, where it's like the only place in the world that has this cold water refuge that is sustaining, one of the most iconic populations of salmon and steelhead on the West Coast.
It sounds like you do all kinds of outdoor documentary style filmmaking. I'm curious what kind of hardships that brings from the filmmaker perspective, as far as just getting your gear to some of these remote locales, much less, oh crap, I forgot a battery and there's no place to plug in for 100 square miles. What kind of added hardships come with getting some of this absolutely beautiful cinematography that you get? But it's not like there's a Walmart around the corner that you can just go to if you need a last minute supply or something, right?
It's definitely the biggest challenge, I think, filming in the outdoors and in some of these locations that we go to, which requires a lot of preparation, knowing that we have to do DIT work at the end of every night to offload our drives and charge our batteries. In Sanctuary, it was a major challenge. We had three shooters, and we shot. Even though the film's only 7 minutes, we shot a tremendous amount of footage. So we were, at the picnic table in the dark with inverters and generators charging, and had our laptops out, you know, until the wee hours of the morning. And that's how it is in these shoots. You shoot all day, and then you do DIT all night, and you do it all over again. So, last year we did a short film up in the headwaters of the Elwha, and I had to take 300 pounds of camera gear on mules 20 miles into the wilderness, and inverter chargers. Just got back from Alaska, where it was the same type of deal. So it's always a challenge planning and preparing, especially in the world of 4, 6, and 8K video that takes a tremendous amount of storage space. So, but I love getting out there and do whatever it takes to get the shot.
As a videographer myself, we've all committed the four fatal sins of filming: of is the camera on, is the lens cap off, Is there an SD card in the camera? And the fourth would be I left something back at home. So have you done any of those shoots where you've been on location? You're like, oh wait, where is the gimbal that I need for this one exact shot, or where's that adapter cable? You realize that's sitting on my kitchen table back at home right now, about 400 miles away.
Absolutely. If anyone tells you they haven't made any of those mistakes, they're lying to you. I think my the one that kind of hurt the most was I hiked into this wilderness setting about 25 miles and got my drone opened up and realized that I didn't have the SD card in it. And I've never made that mistake ever again because it was such a epic trip that I was going to cover, and that's happened. Definitely formatted over footage before, like incredible footage. Ran out of battery when I shouldn't. Just so I have a big checklist now, and I'm getting better at it. I'm 10 years into the independent game right now, and every year I still have some kind of a learning lesson.
Your film is fascinating in that it not only really sets the table for this beautiful region of Southern Oregon and the Umpqua National Forest, but it also highlights the efforts of Frank Moore, a World War II veteran. And we're losing World War II veterans every day right now, and soon there's not going to be very many of them left. So, what was that experience like connecting with living history? With the film having a veterans tie-in in general, having someone who's part of an era where we're losing those stories. Was that really important to you to be able to document some of that stuff, whether it made it into the film or not? Just being able to sit down and have those kind of conversations, having that legacy alongside younger veterans that are also being featured in the film.
Absolutely. I mean, Frank's been such an inspiration to me because not only did he survive Normandy and come back to lead this legacy to protect the Umpqua Basin? He also made a film called Pass Creek back in the late 60s, and he was concerned about the deforestation on Forest Service and BLM lands up in the Umpqua in the Steamboat Creek watershed. I mean, he knew this was a really sensitive place for salmon, one in a there aren't any other steamboat creeks around like it. And he saw devastation happening. He made this film to highlight the unsustainable practices of building logging roads right through the stream beds, cutting all the trees right up to the creek, raising the temperature and killing fish. And he made this video and he took it back to Washington, D.C. and actually changed policy with it back in the late 60s. So to me, that was kind of a real big inspiration in my filmmaking because I like to try to make films that also lead to some kind of positive change for the Pacific Northwest. And so, in addition to just being an incredible human being and capturing his stories, which I love to every time, it's especially special to me to work with Frank, and then also to see him talk to the kids and the other veterans and kind of inspire them was a pretty powerful experience.
So tell us about this program that connects vets and youth together. How long has it been around? How has it kind of grown over time? Are you still actively involved in it, or were you just there to sort of film it?
Yeah, I'm not particular. I'm involved with Pacific Rivers and Soul River. The other group is we partnered with them, so they've been around for several years. They do these deployments all over the place, from the Arctic to Eastern Oregon to New Mexico, and it's an incredible program that bridges inner city youth, brings them into the outdoors, and veterans to work together, and they really do their homework on the place they deploy to. So the kids are tasked with coming up with like really learning about the area and the issues facing the area. So they give these presentations every night, and they're very well educated on where they're going. And so coming into that with their homework, it's really cool to see them explore the natural world that they've been studying for so long, and then taking those experiences back. And hopefully, it can kickstart you know momentum into getting more people into the outdoors. Because the more people we have in the outdoors, the more we can protect those special places.
Your film, the cinematography in it is absolutely beautiful. The drone shots look great, and it's there's some really nice shots in there. But you also have a lot of underwater shots, and I know that's one more added complication when it comes to gear. Now, GoPros are usually the obvious answer because they're waterproof, but the shots that you look like they were done with some pretty nice lenses. So, what equipment were you using to get those underwater shots?
Yeah, so my go-to, I got a A7S II that's in a big underwater housing. I actually just bought a underwater housing for my Blackmagic 6K, which I'm really excited to get underwater next. Um, and underwater is my probably my favorite thing to shoot, to be honest. It's just quiet. You're just there with the fish and this underwater world, and I mean, I can zone out for hours snorkeling underwater. So my favorite.
I would say it would be an interesting to shoot, but I would prefer not wintertime when you're dealing with glacial rivers.
Yeah.
Uh, being stuck in the water for hours on end does not sound like a ton of fun to me. But yeah, hey, to each their own, I guess. Uh, so outdoor documentaries, it sounds like that's kind of your niche area. Have you delved into any sort of narrative filmmaking along your career path at all, or commercial work in addition to this documentary work that you do?
I actually kind of got my start working in narrative and commercial work in LA. I was before I became a filmmaker. I was a professional downhill skier, and I was in a bunch of ski movies and did all that for a long time, and then worked down in Hollywood for several years on big feature films. And it was, a little later down that I got inspired to kind of work on documentaries, and specifically my niche, which is outdoor or environmental, however you want to label it. And yeah, just I felt it was really important to focus my documentary work and find my niche on something that I was really passionate about to keep my interest on the stories. And every year it's been evolving more and more. And now I'm gearing up for this giant Klamath project that we started last June. We're actually in Klamath Falls shooting a water get together protest in Merrill. So that was an exciting shoot, and we're going to be documenting this whole process in the Klamath Basin probably for the next 7 years.
I actually filmed that exact same thing. I was down there that day too, and I did see another film crew there. I thought maybe that I wasn't sure if they were another news crew or what, but I did see people filming on the opposite corner from where I was filming. I was like, oh, okay, so I must not be the only journalist down here. Uh, so your film has a very clear call to action, which is great. You showcase this beautiful area, you show what the program can do, and then you end it with saying, here's how people can seek out more information. But how can people get involved, whether maybe they're a veteran or know a veteran who might need help with this, or a youth that could use some time in the outdoors? How can people go about getting more actively involved in this stuff?
Yeah, I think to learn more about like the whole sanctuary concept in land protection and water protection, that's pacificrivers.org, the organization I work for. And to get more involved on the deployment side or engaging with the veteran youth, that would be soulriverinc.org. Get a hold of
Okay.
Chad Brown.
So, what do you hope that people take away from your film?
I hope people take away the that we need to bring more people into the outdoors to protect these important places. And they're not all watersheds are created equal. There's some places that deserve more protection than others, like a Steamboat Creek. We have those in the Klamath Basin for sure, especially down around the mid Klamath Basin, down around the Salmon River. Those are all sanctuary potential streams, places that will remain cold into the future, not just for salmon, but for water quality. We got these toxic algae blooms because of warm water all throughout the West Coast. And the only thing that can combat that is these cold water refuges. So, and it's important for people to have these sanctuaries as told through the film. So I think we need more of them. And I think we need more people out there enjoying the outdoors.
Any final thoughts about your film that you would like people to know?
I would just encourage people to sign up and get involved with our organization, pacificrivers.org, and we'll keep you updated on any future stories we're telling and sanctuary campaigns we're going with.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for making this absolutely beautiful film. And in addition to being available online all weekend via Eventive, people can catch Sanctuary in person at the Ross Raglan Theater here in Klamath Falls on Sunday, September 20th, around 5:40 p.m. for the 8th annual Klamath Independent Film Festival. Shane, thank you so much for the time.
Thanks, Kurt. Appreciate it.